Wednesday, July 10th, here on the Just Baseball Show. You got Jack McMullen, and I am Peter Apple. Jack, you ready to harmonize?
Yeah, like do you ever do it when it's you and Arm or no?
I always do it. And then Aram has the choice to kind of join in with me. He's been better at it lately, but you can tell he still needs some work at it.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, no, I'm ready. You want to go low or high? I'll go low.
Um,
You go
hmm,
high, I go low.
okay,
I kind of decided when I asked you that.
okay. Three, two, one. Mailbag.
Mailbag. There we go.
That was great. See, I
That's not
miss you being
bad.
on the mailbag instead of Arm because he never harmonizes with me. He's a pretty good baseball mind, but no harmonizing. And you're a great
Yeah,
baseball mind and you're a harmonizer.
I'm not a great baseball mind. I'm a great harmonizer. So that like now you can turn the pod off and just wait until tomorrow. But hey, really appreciate this mailbag with you, Peter.
Absolutely. And we have 8 questions asked on our Instagram and on our Twitter. Want to appreciate all of you guys for leaving tons of questions. We got 50 plus on Instagram, 50 plus on Twitter. We got tons to choose from, and they're all bangers. But Jack, before we get into all the questions, we have a charity event coming up for the All-Star break. Talk to us.
It's our first ever live baseball collectibles charity auction. It's hosted exclusively on eBay Live during Major League All-Star Weekend 2024. So next week, it's a 2-day event, not Tuesday. It's a 2-day event on Sunday and Monday. So July 14th and 15th at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. local at Play Ball Sports Cards and Memorabilia in Arlington, which is like just a couple minutes away from Globe Life and from All Star Fan Fest. And again, it's streaming live on the eBay app. The auction streamed exclusively on eBay Live and will be benefiting various charities: Conines Clubhouse, the Baseball Island Foundation, about Pitch In for baseball and softball. Auctioned items include cards, memorabilia, and other collectibles from brands like CGC Cards, Onyx Authenticated, much more. We are fired up that Homage will be the official apparel partner for Just Baseball at the 2024 All-Star Game. Our crew will be rocking Homage's new 2024 All-Star Game shirts and the Topps MLB collection on the stream. And they've generously donated some epic MLB apparel bundles for our charity auction. So fans around the country can tune in exclusively online on the eBay app. We would love to interact with you in there. Again, July 14 and 15, 4 p.m. Eastern in Arlington at Playball Sports Cards and Memorabilia, and exclusively on eBay Live. Come by in person, tune in online. Regardless, we cannot wait to see you there.
And we'd love all of you guys to be there, whether it's on eBay Live, whether it's in person. It's a charity event that we're really, really excited about, partnering with eBay and Homage and all these great companies in order to give stuff away. Hopefully, everybody can come through, whether that's online, eBay Live, or in person in Arlington. You can say what's up. Jack, we got plenty of good questions. Ready
We
to
got
rock? Or
tons.
you got
I'm ready
anything
to
off the
roll.
top? Well, I guess we could say off the top that Jose Ramirez and Marcell Ozuna are
Yeah.
the next in line to go to the home run derby. We already talked about the first four. I'm somewhat excited to see the both of them.
I don't think, like, I think Ozuna can put on a great round one. I
Exactly.
think that
That's
he
what I
can
was
put
going to
on
say.
some majestic blasts. I don't think that he can last like through the end of this thing. He's not my pick. Like of the announced field, I still very comfortably say Gunner is my pick at this point. But like Marcelo Ozuna, there are going to be some tape measure shots. I promise you, he's going to get the bonus time
Yeah,
for the
I bet
distance homers.
I could see that. He'll win round one, and he's going to be a lot of people's favorite pick. But like we said, Colby Olson, shout out Colby Olson, his formula. Marcell Ozuna, too old, doesn't fit in the formula for the winners, the past winners. So I'm still sticking with Bobby and Gunner, but we have 2 more slots to open, and we'll break it all down once all 8 finalists are announced.
Yep.
We got some questions to get to, and question number 1. Who are some players that could benefit from a change of scenery at the trade deadline? This was asked by Jared Cochran 13 on X. He gave us our first example, Dylan Carlson being a piece in a trade. 100%. We have said that name probably 30 times, maybe 45,
Yep.
definitely approaching 50, potentially needing a change of scenery. But there's plenty of other guys. I have a list of 7. Do you want to get some names off your chest first before I get into my list?
Yeah, sure. I think Dylan Carlson is like one of, if not the best example that we've got. So I love that shout from Jared. There are two Marlins, and I saw Ken Rosenthal saying that Jazz Chisholm will surely be traded at the deadline. Chisholm, Jesus Sanchez are the two Marlins that came to my mind there. Like Brian De La Cruz will be a good one, but like frankly, like he's been performing well against left-handed pitching. He's fine. I don't think it's a change of scenery thing. Jesus Sanchez has sneaky been a Marlin for a long time, and it's just like not really clicking. And if he is heavily protected, and if he's like only seeing right-handed pitching, I think that guy can kind of blossom. Not to an all-star level, but to a level that is far superior to his Marlins level. Joe Adell is another guy that jumps out to me. It's just time and time and time again he keeps getting these runs with the Angels and it's just not working. And he's so talented. Part of me thinks that Joe Adell should be one of those guys that can get moved and will be dirt cheap to go move for. The
I don't mean to.
Brewers,
Oh no,
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry, keep going.
the Brewers have some outfield traffic. Garrett Mitchell, and I know he's missed the overwhelming majority of the year with injury, but it
Mhm.
seems like they're really happy with what they have in Perkins at this
Mm,
point. And like I'm not sure if I think his name is Matt Arnold, who's the lead, baseball mind in Milwaukee now that David Stearns is gone. I'm not sure if he closes his eyes and sees Garrett Mitchell in the outfield in 2 years. And I think that would be a good guy to move. And then two Yankees, Oswald Peraza, Ron Marinaccio.
mm.
Ron Marinaccio is too good of a reliever to be shuttled back and forth from Scranton.
Couldn't agree more.
And Oswald Peraza, like, it's just not even working in Scranton right now. He needs a different place.
Yeah, I agree with you both on those Yankees. The reason that I rudely interrupted you right in the middle of your
Yeah.
statement was I wanted to tie back that conversation about the Marlins because I think it's fascinating. I had Jesus Sanchez written down. I had Jazz Chisholm written down as well. And another guy that I was going to write down was Jesus Luzardo. But Craig Mish, the guy who basically runs Miami Marlins Twitter, who works for the Miami Herald, love
Yes.
Craig Mish. He said that Jesus Zardo is unlikely to be traded until he is fully healthy again, which
Yeah.
makes sense somewhat if you're the Miami Marlins. It's not like he's a free agent after the year and you have to get rid of him or else you're going to lose him for nothing. But it is interesting that they're saying we're not trading him until we feel that we can get the best market for him, which somewhat makes sense, but it's also just keeping him actually improve his value even for next year.
I think so. I think his value is down right now because he's hurt. Like that's what happens to guys that are hurt. I think that the White Sox are facing a very similar conversation with Luis Robert right now, where I think Crochet is gone at this point. Like Garrett Crochet is gone in the next 2 weeks.
He's a San Diego Padre or a Baltimore Oriole.
I hope Oriole, but he's going to be a Padre, and I feel very confident
No,
about
no,
that.
you
Like
got to hope Padre because Preller's going to give you whatever you want. Orioles are actually going to have a good conversation with you.
I'm
Preller's
90.
Preller might give you Tatis.
Let me say,
Like, fuck it.
I'm 97% sure that Garrett Crochet is going to be on the San Diego Padres by August 1st. Where are you at in terms of percentage?
Me too. Just because I think Preller will overpay. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be. I think Mike Elias is going to look at the proposal and say this is fair. The White Sox are going to say we need a little bit more. He's going to call Preller. Hey, if you give us a little bit more, and Preller's going to overpay.
Yeah, I could see that. But like going back to the Luis Robert Luzardo thing, like Luba was hurt for a lot of the year, and then he came back and he was hitting what 195 or something. And
Yeah.
I know that he was hitting homers, but it's not like we're seeing the best version of Luis Robert. We know that if we get 2 more months of Luis Robert, it's going to look better than it looks right now. So the White Sox may hold until his value is higher. And I know that the value goes down because you're losing time, you're losing games that a suitor would have with him, but you're trading for a guy at a higher ability, which I'm totally there for. And I think that's Luzardo too, where it's like, yeah, you're trading for a guy and you're winning that control game, but he's hurt. Like you're trading for a guy with lingering back issues right now, and you want him to, kind of kick those to the curb, and his value is just taking a dip. And I think that the positive regression, you taught me that term, the positive regression of his performance will outweigh the lost time when it comes to trading for a guy.
No, it totally makes sense. Just to fill in some gaps of some guys that you didn't name, Bichette could definitely use a change of scenery, and we're going to talk about some potential packages in a later question, so I'll save the analysis for then. Another Miami Marlin I thought could use a change of scenery. Trevor Rogers. If Jesus Luzardo isn't available, they still have more pitching. And Trevor Rogers, just a few years ago, was a rookie, was heralded as one of the better young left-handed pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. Then he's been banged up. He's had some tough starts, but lately he has looked better. And it's funny that we're recording on Tuesday, July 9th. He actually pitches today against the Houston Astros. So maybe he'll have another tough start, or maybe he'll continue to look better. But that's a big start. I bet a lot of teams are going to have the TV on for Astros Marlins to see how Trevor Rogers does in Minute Maid against that hot offense. Because if he delivers a pretty quality start, there are going to be teams calling the fish and saying, we want him. And I think they're going to get more calls than they think. And that package is actually going to be bigger than maybe most fans might expect for a guy who's got an ERA in the mid fours. But there's no debating here that he has talent. I just think he needs a change of scenery. He needs, not that his current pitching coach, Stoudemire, is a bad one, but I think just a new environment would do him well.
Yeah, it's no indictment on Mel Stoudemire Jr.
No, not at all.
whatsoever. But yeah, like it's just, hey, he had very high highs and he's had some very low lows with Miami. So, let's go to a place where you can be consistently high. And now I think, Trevor Rogers, the Miami Marlin, is not looked at as the guy who like finished second or third in National League Rookie of the Year voting. Instead, he's looked at as the guy that just can't stay on the field.
Yeah. Another guy, another White Sox, Michael Kopech's got to go.
But like, who wants him?
I think some team would take a flyer on him. I mean, the fastball's still live, and if you think that you could mess with his pitch mix and get him off a team that's making him throw 18 straight four-seamers.
No, the team's not making him throw 18 straight four-seamers.
I don't know who's making them, but that's
Michael
what I'm saying.
Michael Kopech is throwing 18 straight four-seamers. Nobody's making him throw 18 straight four-seam fastballs. The guy that has the ball decides what to do to the ball when he pitches. He can shake as many freaking times as he wants. In no world should this guy be entering a game against the Miami Marlins and throwing 18 four-seamers and two cutters. Be better. And like, I know he's hit 102. Any White Sox fan will tell you they're not sure they're going to get anything for him in return at the deadline. It's not encouraging. He throws hard, but who cares?
Everything you're saying is correct. I have nothing else. I have nothing to rebuttal. But if he got traded to the Braves, what would you think? Would you think that he might find?
No, he's not Reynaldo Lopez version 3.0. Like, if the Braves stockpiled Sale, Reynaldo Lopez, Aaron Bummer, and Michael Kopech, I'm the Joker at that point. Like, I'm turning into a supervillain.
Don't you think they're going to do that, though?
No, I don't.
You don't want it to happen.
No, you know what I think is going to happen? I think they're going to slap Kopech in the crochet deal. And they're just going to try and do this like arm farm thing where they get all the Chicago scraps. And Jeremiah Estrada is throwing his chitter. And then you got Kopech throwing 102 meatballs after Robert Suarez throws 99 at, the top of the zone. And it's like, wait, why is that fastball better when it's 3 miles an hour slower?
Shouldn't have taken a sip of water during that statement because I almost spit it out in laughter.
Chitter.
Yeah. More guys. A couple of Colorado Rockies that I would like to see have a change of scenery. I think Ryan Feltner is an actual good pitcher. He just cannot pitch at Coors Field. Dude's got an ERA near 7 at Coors Field. ERA in the low fours on the road. Expected ERA, Sierra, xFIP, FIP. A lot of the underlying metrics like him. And I was watching him against the Reds in Great American Ballpark, which is not that easy of an environment to pitch in. It's the second hardest environment to pitch in at Coors Field. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. This guy can pitch. But I think people are going to look at the 5 ERA and say, who wants him if he gets traded at the deadline? This is a guy who just objectively needs to get out of Coors Field. And I think if he went to a contender, I'm not saying that he would be an impactful postseason arm, but I'm saying he can win you games during the regular season to get you there. And I don't think he's going to be that expensive. I mean, it's Ryan Feltner. I think he needs to change his scenery. And if a team got him, I'd be intrigued. I would be intrigued. Another Colorado Rocky, who it seems like he's been there for 2 decades, but he's still young. Number 2 overall pick in the draft, Brendan Rodgers. Get him out of Colorado. I mean, it's clearly not working. Now, he's an offensive piece, so if it ain't working in Colorado, there's not going to be a ton of confidence elsewhere. But sometimes it just helps. Just helps to have new hitting coaches, new environment, fresh start for a guy who's clearly talented. I just don't know if any team's actually going to want to trade for him. But I do think he needs to change scenery.
Especially because Amador was the corresponding move when he went on the shelf. Yeah, I think there's like a team that would want him. I just don't know if there's going to be any prospect return. And I have no idea if the Rockies would actually entertain that. Like, part of me thinks that they don't, send off guys that are homegrown talents like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention him because I agree with that sentiment. I just think he needs a change of
Right.
scenery. And
Because,
then the last one, oh, go ahead.
no, unless I'm misremembering, like they didn't trade John Gray. They just let him get to free agency, right? And
Yeah.
they didn't trade Story. They just let him get to free agency. Arenado was kind of the weird one out of nowhere.
Yeah, the Rockies are really smart in doing that instead of trading and getting assets, just letting them go to free agency. I hope it's
Yeah,
working
really
for them.
smart. Very
Really smart.
smart. Very smart
Last
people.
last one won't get traded, but I wanted to bring him up because I would be intrigued to see him on another team. Mickey Moniak with the Angels. He obviously showed tons of potential last year, hoping it would carry over into this year, and it certainly has. And the dude's hitting below the Mendoza line, but he's the number one overall pick. We just get him out of Anaheim, see what happens. He's
I mean,
26.
yeah,
More just bringing it up.
it wasn't happening in Philly,
Yeah, I
and it
know.
kind of happened in LA. And
Mm.
this is the most low stress environment that you've got for a guy like Mickey Moniak. I'm not saying that like Moniak is not Jared Kelnick. Let's get that out of the way. Where it's like Kelnick was the perfect change of scenery example. Moniak's just not as good. And you're like, I don't think Moniak is as good, frankly, as Dylan Carlson. Like, and frankly, I don't think Dylan Carlson is that good.
I don't
But
know. I don't know the answer to that question.
right, who's
Mickey
better,
Moniak,
Mickey Moniak or Dylan Carlson? They're
you
both
know,
C, C minus.
maybe with the change of scenery, they could be bees.
Yeah, but
All
like, gross.
right, you want to get to question number two?
Yeah, let's do it.
What teams do you see regressing in the second half and which teams get hot? This was asked by REECED Kenny, Recede Kenny on Instagram, I think. I have two that I think are going to get hot, and I have two that I think are going to cool down. And I had a friend help me, and that friend is Fangraphs. They have the
Okay.
projected standings for the rest of the season, and you can see what they project these teams to do in this for the rest of the year, not just in the second half, but from Tuesday, July 9th on. And I found a couple of teams that Fangraphs is very high on that I agree with. Fangraphs is low on that I also agree with. Do you want
Okay.
me to go first or do you want to go?
You go first.
So, if we're talking about get hot, because I want to focus on the positive before we go to the negative, a team that I think is going to get really hot in the second half is the Atlanta Braves. Sale at this point is establishing himself as a Cy Young candidate. He's right in the thick of it. And I see no reason for him to slow down. The underlying metrics are almost better than the actual metrics. Max Fried is still a dog. I'm not I'm not getting up on him after just a bad start against the Phillies. Max Fried is fantastic. And Reynaldo Lopez at this point, what can you say? 1.71 ERA and just continues to dominate. So you got those three. We also know that Alex Anthopoulos is going to be aggressive at the deadline. And of course, you still have Charlie Morton, and even Bryce Elder gave them a decent start against the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's not the pitching and it's not the bullpen because this bullpen is as good as any bullpen in Major League Baseball. I think they're that good. In the month of June, I mean, since June began, they're the number one bullpen in Major League Baseball, and they have been in the top five this entire year. So the pitching is elite, and I think they have potential to potentially add one at the deadline. Potential. That was a
Yeah.
stupid thing, but we know
No,
what
it's
I'm
okay.
talking about. I'm not a
Yeah.
wordsmith. I'm a ball knower.
Fair.
And then the offense. Is Matt Olson going to continue to look like a middling first baseman? I don't think so. Austin Riley had a 960 OPS in the second half last year. I'm projecting that that's going to happen again, or at least something close to it, because he's at least looked better lately. Jared Kelnick, in Michael Harris's absence, has stepped into that leadoff role and done really well. And also, they're going to get Michael Harris back. Ozzy Albies, I think, is going to play better. They've gotten nothing from Sean Murphy this year, but he did look good in that game against the Diamondbacks. I think the offense is going to start to heat up. And I also know that Alex Anthopoulos is going to be aggressive at this deadline. Right? Already making the small moves, getting Eddie Rosario back.
How do you know that he's going to be aggressive? I don't know what aggressive looks like for them.
I think that the Braves, I think the teams in the mix to get all the big stars, the Braves are going to be in the mix to also get big stars.
Ooh, I disagree. I think that they're going to try making moves between the margins like they did in 21. And I thought Eddie Rosario was between the margins, or thought Jock Peterson was a between the margins move, and they had a couple others. It was what Soler was a between the margins move. I could see them doing that, but in terms of like when you say big stars, the names that jump to my mind are Luis Robert, Garrett Crochet. Who else?
Well,
Bo Bichette.
we're going to talk about a player later that I'm going to do a trade.
You think that the Braves are going to be in the Bichette sweepstakes?
I'm not saying anything until we get to that question.
Okay, I
On,
disagree, but keep going.
that's fine. But let's say they aren't aggressive. Let's say they don't add the big piece.
They're good enough.
They're good enough, right? And that's kind of what I'm looking at. And I'm saying if they do make the move for the big piece, then we're really talking here.
Yeah.
And if we're just looking at Fangraphs, they are the one team that Fangraphs expects to do the best. Number one, the Braves. So that's why I also noted that. Another team that's high up there for Fangraphs, and of course, I totally agree. Houston Astros. Because this is an Astros team that is getting really, really hot right now, and that is without Kyle Tucker. That is without Justin Verlander. And I'm making a guess here, purely, purely just a gut feel. I think the Astros are going to be pretty aggressive at this deadline. Not crazy. I don't think they're going to make the biggest moves that you've ever seen. But I think this ownership sees that they have maybe one or two really good years of this core being built, especially considering that Alex Bregman is a free agent after the year. Why wouldn't you go for it now? The American League and kind of the National League, the parity in Major League Baseball right now is fantastic. Any team can win at any given time. We saw the Rangers play the Diamondbacks last year in the World Series. And the Astros know that all they have to do is get there. So if they get the pieces in order to get there and they're already heating up, how can the Astros not be in that team that you think is just going to go beat shit up in the second half?
Can absolutely see it. I think you went with the two layups here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna throw. I mean Texas, but like I've always kind of thought Texas. I'm gonna stay away from Texas. The only other team that I want to throw at you is Tampa.
Mm.
And like it was a very, very bad first half, relatively speaking, from Tampa. And I know that they've had, some guys step up and they've had some solid performers, but you mean to tell me that like Siri was that unreliable and Rosarena was that bad and Yandy Diaz took that much of a step down and they're still kind of flirting with the AL wildcard conversation? Like I know Isaac Paredes has been an all-star. I don't think he cools off in the second half. The other thing is you just swapped out Savali and put Shane Boz in that situation. Jeffrey Springs is like at this point all the way back, ready to go again. Junior Caminero just started a rehab assignment at the complex. Like
You see what he did in
Carson
his first
Williams,
AB?
no, did he go yard?
You went yard.
Yeah, there you go. Carson Williams has a 900 OPS in Double A at this point. If they really need a shortstop, they've got a ton going on to like push them in the right direction without having to make any moves. And I don't think Tampa makes a single move. I don't think they're buyers. I don't think they're sellers. I don't think they move Eflin. I think they move Eflin this offseason. And I could absolutely see them ticking up just because the guys they already have on the roster got better.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I made the pitch, I think, a couple of mailbags ago about how much I still am fully into the Rays.
Yeah.
That I've seen the Rays not play good baseball, and I've seen the Rays play really good baseball, and it almost sometimes has nothing to do with the actual talent on the field.
Yeah.
They just get hot together. We'll see. Let's talk about cold teams. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Seattle pitching can't be this good. Like it might, but I think Seattle could absolutely regress. The two that I like really think the pitching's gonna hurt Milwaukee at some point.
Hmm.
I really do think so. And the lack of superstar power in Milwaukee is going to hurt them at some point. And I can appreciate like what Yelich has done to this point. And I thought Bryce Terang was kind of a snub from the All-Star game. He didn't make our list of snubs, but I thought he was, borderline All-Star worthy. I can appreciate what Joey Ortiz has done, and I love what William Contreras has done as well. But like the rest of that lineup does not convince me that they are one of the better teams in the National League. And that starting rotation, man, like I know they've been piecing it together, and I know that we just had a long conversation about them after they traded for Savali, and they've got Aaron Savali and Dallas Keuchel at this point, accounting for 40% of their starts. If you throw in Colin Ray, that's 60% of their starts coming from Savali, Keuchel, Colin Ray. Do we feel wonderful about that? Again, and like I don't want to rehash the same conversation we had a week ago. I don't feel comfortable about that. And I don't feel anywhere near wonderful. I don't feel good about that. I don't see how the pitching success, how the horseshoe up there, you know what, stays where it is.
I think we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on the Brewers.
That's fine. That's
I've
fine.
I've fully bought into what the Brewers are doing. Now
Yeah.
you say, can we rely on Colin Ray? Can we rely on Dallas Keuchel?
And you're saying yes, and I'm saying no.
I'm not saying that I'm relying on them. I
You're saying
just
that
don't.
you believe in the system.
I'm saying I don't think that matters that much
Yeah,
because
I think it's gonna end up mattering at some point.
I'm looking at the Guardians who have a very similar formula. The offense is going to bang and the bullpen is going to be absolutely lights out. That's exactly what the Brewers have. So with all their inefficiencies on the mound, where's the weak spot in the lineup? Because you went through a lot of guys. And you didn't mention guys like Bryce Terang, who arguably could be
I
an
did
all-star.
mention Terang.
Oh, you did mention Terang.
Yeah.
But we go around the infield. I love Joey Ortiz. I like Willie Adames, Bryce Terang, Rhys Hoskins. You go in the outfield. They got plenty of good guys out there. Frelick and Yelich, especially. And Perkins has been an elite defender in center field. And then you have one of the best catchers in baseball in William Contreras. And they just keep hitting. Like a good example of what Brewers baseball is beating the Dodgers 9-2 with Dallas Keuchel on the mound. Now, I know this is not repeatable, and I also know that they lost that series. But I am looking at the Brewers as a whole, getting Devin Williams back. All I need from your starters, and this is what I think the Brewers think too, 5 innings, 2 runs. 5 innings, 2 runs. Bullpen will handle the rest. They have so many good arms. They lost Abner Uribe, and I think their bullpen got better. They just plug and play. They get whoever they want. Trevor Miguel, did anyone even hear about him until he became the closer? And I think he should be an all-star. Then getting back Devin Williams, they're shortening games so quickly, and then their offense is too good that I just don't think that starting pitching matters. And then if they do add one decent starter and they have a great farm system and they could do it now, it's not in the Brewers' real DNA to do that. So I understand maybe where you're coming from, where you don't think that they will. I don't even care if they do. I think the Brewers are still the best team in this division. Come playoff time, no, I won't be in on the Brewers. Regular season, I'm still in.
No, I mean when 4 out of 5 turns in the rotation is Ray, Tobias Myers, and I know that Tobias Myers has had a 3.5.
And Ray is a mid-3s
I
ERA
know that
too.
he's got a 3.3.
His underlying metrics are real tough though.
Yeah, like all these guys' underlying metrics are real tough though. So it's like Ray, Myers, Savali, Keuchel. 80% of your games is Ray, Savali, Tobias Myers, Keuchel. Do I need to say it a third time? Like, I don't love that. So, yeah, we can agree to disagree. We can move on.
Yeah, we can move on. Here's one team that we've talked about before, and we can agree to disagree on the last one, but I think we're going to agree here. I'm pretty low on the Royals.
I agree on the Royals.
And it's not to say that I think the Royals are just going to be terrible. I just think that it's going to start to slow. And Fangraphs agrees. They think they're going to go 34-36 rest of the way. Which is not that great. And I kind of agree. And if we're talking about the Royals, where, all right, they have better starting pitching. Lugo, Reagans, Singer has been great. But if we're talking about underlying metrics, Singer's look terrible, right? And the rest of that rotation, I don't have a ton of faith in. I mean, I like Waka. I think he can keep you in ball games. But the problem is that bullpen, I cannot trust. And I also can't trust a team where all of their offense comes in their home ballpark. I can't trust a team that whenever they go on the road, they're consistently falling short. And that's why their home record is so amazing and the road record is not very good. They haven't been very good against teams above 500 either. So when they play up in class and they play on the road, they're a below average team. That can't be the thing for the rest of the year. And I've seen nothing to divert from that opinion. I love Lugo. So you can have a 2-1 the rest of the year?
No.
Reagan's might get better, but I think Singer is going to get worse. And I think in those middling games, especially if they're on the road, you're going to lose because your bullpen just isn't good enough. And I know Michael Massey in the 5 spot gives them a decent front 5, but the bottom I can't rely on. How good is Salvi going to be the rest of the year? And you're kind of right about Michael Garcia at this point. He's
I
got a
know I'm
bottom
right.
10 lowest WRC plus in Major League Baseball. I'm
I know
buying
I'm right.
into hitting the ball hard, but at the end of the day, it ain't resulting. There's no production. So I got excited about the Royals. I'm not as excited anymore,
I mean,
unfortunately.
I
Not
think a
to
lot
say
of
that, like,
people,
I still
yeah.
think that they're going to compete, but I just think they're playing above their pay grade right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're outperforming. And, that's what fun teams do. They outperform expectations. And I think that's what the Royals have done. But, like, this game is played over 162 of them. Like, it's played over 187 days. And, with like this team, and we've kind of talked about it, like Salvi was there 9 years ago. Waka was there like 12 years ago. You know, you run out of guys that have gone through a season where they are wire to wire good. And I just don't know if this team is ready to be wire to wire good yet. I think that they're there next year or the year after when they have one of those start good, finish poorly seasons under their belt. But I think this is that season.
To wrap up on the Royals, Peyton brought this up in our group chat. Shout out at Big League Analysis on TikTok. Phenomenal editor of this show. Bobby Witt Jr. in home games this year is hitting 380, 436 OBP, 684 slug to give him an 1120 OPS. Quite possibly the greatest hitter at home in the history of baseball with those type of numbers. Obviously not history, but you know what I'm saying. On the road, he's slashing 267, 302, 439 for a 741 OPS. It's a difference in 400 points of OPS. That's your guy. The guy's got a 741 OPS on the road. So when Bobby Witt ain't hitting, what does this Royals offense look like? And then I don't think the pitching can make up for it. And even if the starters do have a good game, the bullpen has a potential to blow it. I think the Royals are going to play 500 baseball, maybe a little bit below for the rest of the year. Not completely fall off, but just not at this level. Ready for question 3?
I am.
Who is a player that's currently in the minor leagues that you think will be an MLB All-Star next year? That was asked by 4M Opinions on X. I got 4. Do you want to do the same thing where you give me your list and then I'll fill in the cracks, or you want me to go straight up with my list? I think I should go straight up with my list first because you know the minor leagues better than me. And I'm more just throwing darts right now about guys who I like who should be up by next year and could potentially be all-stars. So you talk me off the ledge. How about that?
You go ahead. Go do that.
Okay. So number 1, and I'm going to hang my head on this. I bet him rookie of the year. Um, but the Rays never called him up. I think
Yeah.
Junior Caminero is going to be an all-star next year. Yeah, that's fair.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. Kobe Mayo of the Baltimore Orioles, I think, is going to be an all-star next year if he gets run, which I think he should at this point. I mean, he is a beast.
Yeah.
You agree?
I agree.
Okay. Jason Dominguez of the Yankees. We already saw flashes of it when he first came up. Then he had TJ,
Yeah.
still banged up. But whenever he does play, he's a lightning rod. You put him in center field, you move Judge back into right. That's an all-star caliber center fielder who's currently in the minor leagues.
Very chalky from you, but like, yes,
I
I
mean,
fully agree.
we're talking about these guys being all-stars,
I
not
know,
just good.
I had 2 hitters, and Caminero and Mayo were mine, and I entertained Dominguez. I didn't do Dominguez, but you've already checked him off. Who's your fourth guy?
This one is a dart throw. Jordan Lawler of the Arizona Diamondbacks. I know it's a dart throw, but I'm just saying if they gave him run, like I don't know if Perdomo is just going to be the starting shortstop for the Arizona Diamondbacks next year. When you have a arguably top 10 prospect in all of baseball, it's short. And imagine what he could do in a full first half if he's ready to go. Problem
Yeah.
is he's been banged up, but he's so damn talented.
He's so damn talented when it comes to speed and defense, and I think bat to ball too. I question the level of impact with a Lawler. Like, I wonder if he's going to hit enough to be an all-star.
Hmm.
And the National League shortstop crop is very, very thin right now. right? Like, I know you've got Lindor, who is not an all-star. I know Ellie De La Cruz, but like, hey, Ellie could punch out 34% of the time and like not, swipe a billion bags at the start of next year. And then what happens? Like Trey Turner, obviously, you've got those three, and there really aren't many other like all-star caliber shortstops that are littered around the National League. I think Adames is close. Dansby, when he's right, I think is there. Um, but like I just don't think that Lawler falls into the Lindor, Ellie, Trey Turner bucket.
Yeah, I don't really believe it either. I just wanted to bring
Okay, fair, fair.
it up.
I can appreciate that. I can
I'm gonna be
totally
honest.
appreciate that.
I'm an honest guy. I don't really believe it, but I
Right.
crazier has happened, and I think he has a
So
ton of talent.
yeah, so I actually think that it's easier for a pitcher to make the All-Star team as a rookie because pitchers are never impeded by other guys needing ABs. Like you think about Cubby Mayo, think about the precursor that you just offered for Mayo. You said Cubby Mayo if he gets enough run.
Facts.
I'm not asking that question about Jackson Jobe next year. So Job is that guy for me. There's another one in the same division, and that's Noah Schultz of the Chicago White Sox. I
Look at
think
that.
Jackson Job of the Tigers and Noah Schultz of the White Sox could be two of those guys. I'm kind of playing the mandatory All-Star game with Schultz because they're going to trade Crochet. I think they're going to trade Robert this
And
offseason
they'll need somebody.
and they'll need somebody. And Noah Schultz at this point, we know that they're not afraid to skip AAA with their pitching prospects, like they skipped AAA with Thorpe. I bet you they're going to skip AAA with Iriarte. Nastrini was there for some weird reason, but that felt silly. If I'm not mistaken, they skipped AAA with Cannon first time he came up too. But Noah Schultz right now made 7 starts in high A Winston-Salem this year, 27 and a third innings, 42 punch outs, 4 walks, or 7 walks, pardon. 42 Ks, 7 walks.
I can get behind that.
Then he goes to Double A Birmingham. 7 starts. Granted, he's not being like kind of cut loose, really. 7 starts in Double A as a 20-year-old. This guy has a 2.3 ERA, and in 27 and a third innings, 33 Ks and 4 walks. He's 6'9, 220 pounds, lefty, has
Wait. Did you say 6'9"?
he's 6'9". He's a 6'9", 220-pound lefty that fills up the strike zone in the high 90s.
What's with the White Sox and these enormous lefties?
They've got guys, man.
I
They've
like that.
got guys.
All right, fire me
So
up.
those are the two pitchers that really jump to my mind are Jackson Jobe and Noah Schultz. I hope that Painter can be fully healthy and full go next year because I think Painter can be that guy as well. Jobe is the one that I feel most comfortable about because I think that we could be looking at a front two in that rotation next year of Skubal and Jobe, and we're saying, wow, the Tigers have must-watch TV.
I have another one that I want to throw at you that I don't necessarily think, but if we're on the topic of Chicago young pitchers, let's go to the Cubs. Cade Horton. Do you think he could potentially make an All-Star game? Because I was looking at his stats and I was not impressed from this season so far.
So he has been out for a while with a lat issue. When I saw him, he was 93, 94, which isn't 97, 98. And he can be, 96, 97 with good characteristics and like just an overall good mix. But I don't know. Like I haven't seen enough in 2024 to convince me that he's an all-star in 2025, if that's fair.
So if you had to pick, let's say pick one. If you had to pick
Uh
one,
Jackson Jobe.
I'm gonna go Junior Caminero.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to question number 4. This is another good one. Are Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Andrew Abbott a top 10 front three for a starting rotation in Major League Baseball? Asked by @Tyler_Pinter on X, Twitter, whatever. So I came up with a list of teams. I compiled their front three, and I can already hear Reds fans. No, we're not going to include front threes that are injured right now. So the Braves, they don't get Strider,
Okay.
right? There's a couple of teams that don't get some of their best pitchers to make it fair to Reds fans right now. Because I feel like if we added in some of these injured starters, all we'd see in the comment sections was, well, these guys are injured. These guys are injured. So you know what? We're taking all of it out.
Well, and you know what
I'm
we're going to see now, right?
What?
It's like, wait till Strider comes back. Like,
I know,
right.
but I in my own head I felt that was easier to deal with because I
Fair.
feel like those teams would then know that they would be above the Reds.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
But even with some injuries to some of these starters, are the Reds truly top five? So first, I'm going to get some out of the way that are no brainer better than the Reds. And this is not to dampen the Reds. I know I'm
No,
coming across like that. I'm just trying to figure out if they are in the top 10
for the sake of the
because
exercise.
these
Yeah.
three are great, no doubt about it. But for the sake of the exercise, the Phillies have a better top three with Wheeler, Nola, and Suarez.
Yes.
The Mariners have a better top three with Gilbert, Kirby, and Castillo.
Yes.
Then it gets interesting. It does get interesting. Would you rather take Cole Rodon, let's say Luis Heel, or you could throw Nestor, or you could throw Stroman, whoever you like better? Would you rather those three?
Yeah.
I would too. With the Orioles without Bradish, but still, would you take Grayson Rodriguez, Corbin Burns, Albert Suarez?
Yes.
I would too. Would you take the Royals front three with
Yes.
Lugo, Reagans, and Singer?
Yes.
Okay. Would you take the Braves front three with Sale, Fried, and Lopez?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we are 6 for 6 so far. Would you take the Cubs with Steele, Shota, and Tyon?
Yeah. I yes. It's getting closer, but yes.
I think what holds me off is like, I think Hunter Green is a borderline ace. I wouldn't put him in the ace category, but I think he's absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic.
he's a front line too.
Absolutely fuel coming out of his right arm. I think Nick Lodolo might be the most talented of all of them, but
Yeah,
he's just never on the field.
correct.
And Andrew Abbott, I think, is a very solid three starter. So are these threes better than that with a front line two, like Jack said, which I agree with? Nick Lodolo, who has the talent like Hunter Green, but is rarely on the field, and Andrew Abbott, who's just the definition of solid.
Yep.
Are these guys better than that? I don't. I think the Cubs have a little bit more upside because I think I'm taking Shota over Lodolo. And
I'm
I think
not.
I'd take
I'm taking Steele over Green, but I'm
yes.
taking Lodolo over Shota, just barely.
I'd rather have Shota for the rest of the season because Lodolo is as
Oh,
talented.
for
Shota is
sure,
just
for
more
sure.
available. I would rather have Shota.
I guess I was just looking at like talent in a vacuum. I think Lodolo is an ace talent. I view
100%.
Lodolo in a higher regard by talent, like you're saying, than Hunter
Yeah,
Green.
I
I
agree.
think I
Uh,
think Lodolo has ace talent. I think Green shows spurts of ace, but I think that Lodolo can tap into it actually a bit more often
the
than
thing
Hunter
is
Green
that
can.
actually hurting Hunter Green's case because he's just more available. So you're seeing way more of Hunter Green. Is
I
that
don't
hurting his eight? Because if we're just looking on the table, Hunter Green's got 100 with a splitter
No,
and like a nasty break ball.
I'm not calling either of them an ace at this point. I think the one that's closer to that conversation is Green because aces need to be available.
Okay, that's what I was saying. I was like,
Yeah.
is Green's ace, quote unquote, for all
No,
those
it's
words
not
on YouTube?
docked.
It's
It's
not
not
docked
docked.
because he's pitching more.
Yeah.
So we'll continue. Would you rather have Nate Eovaldi, Max Scherzer, and John Gray
Through the
from
rest
the
of this
Rangers?
year? No.
I think I would
Okay.
because I think I'm taking Eovaldi and Scherzer. Bulldogs.
You give me Scherzer against Green or Lodolo this year. I'm taking Green or Lodolo.
I don't know if I am.
I am.
So you would take the Reds over the Rangers. I think I'd take the Rangers over the Reds.
Yeah, I take the Reds over the Rangers.
Okay. Padres. Would you rather have Dylan Cease, Michael King, and Matt Waldron, or the Reds top three?
Probably the Reds top three.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
I feel like neither of us are really that sold on it though.
We're not sold on it, but I really wrote down like I think the Reds are in the 7 to 11 range. And
Okay.
this is exactly where we're at.
I'd rather have the Tigers front three, Skubal, Olsen, Flaherty. And yes, Flaherty technically can be added to this because he's scheduled to start on Thursday against the Guardians.
Yes.
Okay. You'd take the Jays front three, I assume, Gosman, Brios, Bassett.
This
Uh,
year?
that's what I'm wondering.
I don't think so.
That's a tough one. I'll say the Reds, but I'm not confident in it. Here's one that I think is going to make you think a little bit. Would you take Mackenzie Gore, Jake Irvin, and Mitchell Parker? I told you it'd make you think. Jake Irvin's got a 2.8.
I know he
Moore's
does.
got a 3.8. Parker's got a 3.4.
No, I'm taking the Reds over that.
Okay. I'm just saying, if they had a 3-game series with those three versus those three, I don't know who'd win.
I hear you.
Also the Dodgers. Would you take Glasnow, Miller, and Stone?
Yeah, I would.
Hmm. Okay. And then the Twins. Lopez, Ryan, Ober.
I would take the Reds over that.
I would take the Twins.
Okay.
So for me, I think they're on the outside looking in, and I think they're in your top 10. But like you said, 7 to 11. Based on our answers, I think you'd have them like 9 or 10.
I think they're close. Yeah, I think they're probably in the 8 or 9 spot.
And remember, that's factoring in all the injuries to other rotations. Because right now
Yes.
the Reds got their front three healthy. So
No, at full health, like they are probably outside the top 15. They're in the 14 to 17 or 18 range. But I think right now, factoring in injuries, they're in the 8 or 9 spot.
perfect. All right. Before we get to question number 5, you're going to tell us about our friends at Game Time.
Yes, I will, because we have all run into a certain issue, right? It's you have a game that you really want to go see. You have a concert that you really want to go see, but then there are roadblocks galore and you get slammed with all these fees at checkout and you just cannot find good tickets. You cannot find good prices. Let's fix that for you. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball. That makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. You get killer last minute deals. You get all in prices, you get views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying big league tickets. Use Game Time for last minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater. List goes on. I love the all in pricing. I love the panoramic seat views. That app is as easy to work as any ticketing app that I've come across. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code JUSTBASEBALL, all caps, one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code JUSTBASEBALL, all caps, one word, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
And remember, folks, go to the profile section once you create an account, put code JustBaseball in there, and then go get your tickets at the lowest price, because some people will put it in at the end. Like, right, you go to Amazon or you go to any of these places and you got to put in a code. It's when you check out. No, for Game Time, it's in your profile section to get $20 off your first order. Don't leave free money just laying on the table. Go take advantage. Lowest prices, Game Time. You can find the link in the episode description. Question number 5 is another banger. What do you think about a trade package, and what would it look like for Bichette if he gets traded at this deadline? Asked by FinnM_9 on Instagram. I got a couple blockbusters. I got a couple of them. But the problem is they're all going to sound outlandish, because what contender truly needs a shortstop? And if you watch Bichette on the Blue Jays, he looks completely checked out. Completely checked out. Now, that's just me watching. Is he actually checked out? I have no idea. But it just looks like a different player, both in the box, in the field. His overall energy on the field just seems different. I think he needs a change of scenery. That's why I put him in that. And considering that he's a free agent, not this upcoming season, but the next, you have a little bit of control there too. I still think a lot of teams would give up a decent sized package for a player of his caliber. I mean, this is still one of the better offensive pieces at shortstop in the game. He just hasn't shown that this season. But I'm sure one bad first half is not going to make teams just run away and not want to offer anything. And there are two contenders who could potentially need a shortstop. So I have a couple of packages. Now, you can talk me off the ledge here because I'm an eccentric guy.
Let
Go
me,
crazy sometimes.
yeah, I know. So let me tell you why I think you're going to be a little bit too lofty with your trade packages.
Talk to me.
He's got a 0.3 F4 in 70 games and change. He has a 72 WRC plus. And the team that acquires him is going to need to pay him $5 million this year and $17.5 million next year, with zero promise that he returns after that. So
Oh,
now lay out
but
now lay out your package
it's not expensive. 5 million and 17.5 for a shortstop of his caliber of what he could be.
for point 0.3 F war 75 games into
But
his
do you think it's
season.
fair to just judge someone off this front half and like that's only what we're paying
No, I
for?
think this is a what have you done for me lately game. And I understand that this guy has what, three straight 4-win seasons, and he was knocking on five in 21 and two. Like I totally understand that, and I understand that he's one of the better hitting shortstops in baseball. But at the end of the day, he really hasn't missed much time at all. I know he missed like a week with a calf thing this year, but he hasn't missed much time whatsoever. And he's got a 72 WRC plus. So if this is him not giving a shit and he's going to like snap into the 130, okay, cool. But like, how can you prove that to me? You
Yeah,
know?
it's gonna be hard to prove that he's just going to get better other than the best predictor of future success is looking at the past.
Yeah,
And besides this few month stretch, he has been one of the better shortstops in the game.
for sure.
So what's more important? 3 straight years of a 4-win season or a down first half?
No, I think three straight years of a 4-win season is more important, but I think that his price will be docked because of the down half.
Exactly. And that's why in these packages, I'm not offering your first, your second, and your third best prospect or anything like that.
Fair.
But I think there are two teams who could make a big splash here by adding Bo Bichette. And the first one that we're going to talk about are the Atlanta Braves, like I mentioned previously. And I don't think it's necessarily the Braves like need to make a splash, but I think they have a massive hole in their infield, and that is Orlando Arcia. Orlando Arcia made an All-Star game last year, hit 294, 769 OPS before the All-Star break. He's a good hitter and obviously a very, very good defender. But in the second half, he put up a 713 OPS, and that batting average dropped from 294 to 235. And then this season, he has a 577 OPS. And it's not like he's getting that unlucky. And if we're talking about Bo Bichette struggling, Orlando Arcia has struggled even more at the plate. Now, still a good defender, right? But there's plenty of good defending shortstops that can't really hit. And if we're talking about guys who probably don't deserve a ton of offensive praise, we're probably talking about Orlando Arcia and his career 669 OPS. And the Phillies just got Schwarber and Harper back. So if the Braves want to make a splash here, I think they can. So I have a trade for just Bo Bichette. But we could also go bigger. They could use another starter. So what would a package look like for Kevin Gausman and Bo Bichette to the Atlanta Braves? Let me throw it at you. AJ Smith-Shawver, J.R. Ritchie, Hurston Waldrop, and Nacho Alvarez Jr. So you're giving away 3 pitching prospects that are in your top 10 prospects, as well as a young shortstop prospect as well for Bo Bichette and Kevin Gausman.
Yeah, I think that's an overpay by Atlanta, given the price points that they're at. Because Gausman has one more year of control after this at a high price point, $25 million.
Definitely.
So you're taking on 17.5 of Bichette and about 25 of Gausman. I think that's very, very steep. And I think when a team, especially now, and I know that Atlanta is publicly traded and they're owned by Liberty Media and they're fine. They are also a Bally team, and Bally is bankrupt and they're going to lose that RSN money. So you got to factor in like this is going to be a very unique offseason because there are a lot of TV deals that are expiring. I don't know what the price point for free agents is going to look like. It can't go down drastically in a given year because it's already gotten to a ludicrously high number. Like Willie Adames is going to be $150 million player if Story and Baez were $140 million
Can I
players.
quickly interrupt you?
Yeah.
That's kind of why I think that they might be more interested in making a trade for something. Because if you look at the Braves roster, I don't think that they're going to be the team to go out and sign a big time free agent
Yeah,
anyway.
but why take on money with Bichette if you think that Nacho can be the guy at short in a year?
Do
And what
you?
I mean by guy is not franchise cornerstone. I don't think that he is a franchise cornerstone. I think that this is a very, very weak system. But I think that Nacho Alvarez can be a serviceable big league shortstop. I think he can be, close to equivalent to what Vaughn Grissom was. And Vaughn Grissom, netted Atlanta Chris Sale. Um, I don't think you need to include AJ and Waldrop. Frankly, I think it's J.R. Ritchie, Alvarez, and maybe like a Drew Hackenberg or something.
Really? Because
Yeah.
how good are these Braves prospects? I mean,
I
even
mean,
AJ Smith-Shawver, like, is he this heralded great young pitching prospect? What has he shown so far?
he is a great young pitching prospect.
Hurston Waldrop, like, you hope that he could turn into something. I'm just looking at these Braves prospects, and I don't love them.
No, they're not good. It's not a good system. But I think those are the two that Atlanta could look at and say, okay, worst case scenario with Waldrop, we have a very good high leverage arm. Spencer Schwellenbach, they found a big league starter in that.
And
There's
I
a
didn't
lot
include
of
Schwellenbach.
value in
Yeah.
Schwellenbach. I know. AJ Smith Shawver, they see a good big league starter there. I'm not saying front line. I'm saying they see mid rotation upside. You got to remember, AJ Smith Shawver is 21 years old at this point, and he already has multiple cameos in the major leagues. Drew Hackenberg is a guy that's sporting a mid threes in double A, in between high A and double A. He just got up to double A. Um, him, Nacho Alvarez, who was actually kind of underwhelming in the Southern League, but everybody's been underwhelming in the Southern League and then has performed well in AAA, 21-year-old shortstop. And then J.R. Ritchie, a guy that, was, I think he was what? He was hurt for a little bit. He started 4 games last year in low A, this year, 3 games at the complex. Um, I, I don't know, man. It's tough. Like, I don't think you need to include AJ or Waldrop to get that done for guys with very high price points like that.
I'm just still buying into the fact that I still think Gosman can be the man, and I still think that Bo Bichette would be a very good shortstop.
You
I'm
got to
also
remember
looking at it.
Richie's also coming off TJ.
I'm also looking at a 2.31 road ERA for Gosman with a 7.19 ERA at home. Get him out of Toronto right now. I just, I guess I don't value these Braves prospects as highly as maybe you do, and I think you don't value these Blue Jays players like Gosman and Bichette as much as I do. I think that's where our wires are crossing a little bit. I just
I think
think
so.
that these guys are better than you think, and I am not as high on the Braves prospects as maybe you are.
Well, we've also got two guys that I think are very hard to compute their value.
Yes.
Like, a Mason Miller, a Garrett Crochet, Luis Robert. It's pretty easy to compute their value because you know what they're going to be. Um, with a Bichette, like, he's been so bad this year, horrible, and he already got paid. Like Gosman, the numbers are not good. And I know that they've been good away from home, but like overall, they're not good. And you're paying them a lot of money already. And we're about to talk about an outfielder who is like totally regressed from last year. And he's making a lot of money. And the ball's in his court when it comes to his contract. Like it's a very unique beast. And like it's very difficult to try and contextualize this to the best, of our abilities when it comes to prospect return for, a shortstop that is worth 0.3 F4 at this point and is making $18 million next year.
Here's one for just Bo Bichette from the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay.
They're the other team that I wanted to include because right now you just brought up James Outman to go play center field, and you currently have Gavin Lux at second base, but you're going to get Mookie Betts back. And you can say, well, Mookie's our shortstop. That's fine. But if you want to add a guy like Bo Bichette, you can either move Mookie to second, take Lux out of the lineup, or you move Mookie back to right, put Pajes in center, and then you have Gavin Lux then at second. You could do whatever rotation you want, but then you don't have to have Outman and Gavin Lux in the same lineup every day when Mookie Betts comes back. And instead, you have Bo freaking Bichette. Miguel Rojas has been decent in spurts, but I think he's more of a bench bat. I don't think he should be playing every day like he
Right.
has been lately. I don't think this is that expensive, and I think the Dodgers could do it, and I think the Blue Jays would do it. Bo Bichette for Diego Cartaya and Landon Knack.
Yeah. I think that gets it done.
Do you think that gets it done?
Yeah, because maybe like another flyer on the Dodgers side, but Cartaya, I'm not going to say he's damaged goods, but like he's nowhere near the prospect that he once was. And I think everybody kind of knows that. He's been incredibly underwhelming in double A for the last year and a half. And I know he just got up to triple, but Knack has proven that he can really eat big league innings
He's
to a
he's decent.
high
He's been
degree.
pretty good. Yeah.
He's better than decent. So I think you're getting a good young starter with 6 years of control here.
Instead of
So
adding a flyer, maybe would they do Jackson Ferris and Diego Cartaya?
that's
That too much?
way too much.
Yeah. I'm wondering
Oh,
if it's like,
Ferris and Cartaya?
yeah.
I thought you were going to say Knack and Ferris.
No, Ferris and Cartaya. So instead
Uh,
of Knack, Cartaya, and a flyer, it's just Ferris and Cartaya.
I don't think Toronto would want two guys that are like finicky like that. You know what I mean? Ferris is a stuff guy in high A right now.
More you can dream on then with Knack, who is 26.
Yeah, for sure. But like Knack has also proven that he can get big league outs. And I think that's a pretty easy sell for Toronto, who I don't believe really ever truly tears it down. I think they can pitch it as, hey, we've got a young starter that we can plug in immediately. You know what I mean? Instead of like, oh, we're rebuilding.
I think it's tough to correctly quantify what Bo Bichette's value is, but I think we have to try our best because I think he's going to be traded.
I think he's going to be traded too. And I think I'm going to be shocked either way to see what the return is.
I just think the
He's,
return is going to be more than you think.
I think it's going to be less than you think.
Well, it'll be fun to find out. It'll be
Yes.
really fun to find out. Let's move on to question number 6. It's another trade one, and I'm going to lean on you for this because I don't know where he's going. With talks flaring up about the Cubs possibly selling, do you think that they will actually make Cody Bellinger available on the trade market? If so, what are some packages that contending teams that could use him, like the Phillies, the Mariners, or the Yankees, look like? Asked by @GabeGarner15 on Instagram. One thing that I noticed about Cody Bellinger is that he's got opt outs, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So he could opt out after this year if he wanted to. I don't like that if I'm trading for a guy because I don't know if he's going to stay.
Correct.
And I also, what am I getting here? He had a great offensive season that was, we talked about it, due for regression in the next one. Severely outperformed all of his underlying metrics as well. And now he's not a very good hitter. And he's a great defender. But how impactful is that when you have opt outs as well? And if he doesn't opt out, you still got to pay him a decent chunk. It's a 3-year, $80 million deal. So I came up with somewhat of an idea. Would the Phillies ever, because you guys have talked about this particular pitching prospect really, really struggling, would the Phillies say, we'll give you Mick Abel if you give us Bellinger?
Absolutely. They probably want Abel off their hands, but I don't know if the Cubs would make that move, especially with how wide open the NL wildcard race is.
That's kind of where I'm at. What do you think? Do you think that the Cubs would entertain this trade offer? I don't think they're going to trade him. I don't think any teams are going to be calling for Cody Bellinger, but for the sake of the question, what do you think?
Yeah, so I want to echo those sentiments. I don't think Cody Bellinger gets moved. I think
Yeah,
this
I don't
contract
either.
is way too hard to move.
Yeah.
Like, because it's, oh, well, he'll just opt out after 2 months. I think the only team that may make sense is the Phillies. I saw the Yankees in the question, and I love the question, but like I saw the Yankees and I was like, do the Yankees need Bellinger?
Yeah,
I don't.
respectfully, I kind of disregarded it, right?
Yeah, I don't think the
He's just
Yankees
not
need
going to the.
Bellinger.
Yeah, they have
Um,
Grisham anyway. I mean, Grisham can't hit water if it fell off a boat, but they still have him. Like they're not
yeah,
just. Yeah.
understood. I think that you could see a move like Cody Bellinger for Emerson Hancock or something when it came to Seattle. I could
Yeah.
see that. Again, like I think you're aligned with me here where the price is a lot lower than a lot of people expect it to be. And a team that trades for Bellinger at the deadline is taking on 10 million this year, a player option at 27 and a half next year, and a player option at 25 in 2026. I think there's a small market for that. I could see like a Hancock and then maybe a complex flyer from Seattle. From Philly, sure, Abel. I don't know where they stand on Abel. I would love to sit down with Dave Dombrowski and just be like, dude,
Do
where
you
are
like
you at on him?
him? Do you
Where are
like
you
him?
at on him? Where are you at on McGarry? Like, I want to know about all these guys. Um, I wonder if they would entertain Justin Crawford for Bellinger.
That seems like too much. I'd rather
It
go with
might it might be too
Yeah.
much. It might be
Yeah.
too much. Um, yeah, it's unique. It's very hard for me to kind of like compute him and Bichette. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like pre-All-Star brain fog from me, but like I think it's just these two players are very confusing in Bichette and Bellinger, and I've got no idea how we're going to slice this at the deadline.
It is tough because we're talking about 4 straight 4-win seasons for Bichette, that consistency, and then just falling off a cliff this year. For Bellinger, the dude won an MVP.
I know.
The dude was awesome last year if you just look at the regular numbers. So it's like, I don't know if Bichette could put up an 8-win season like Bellinger could at his absolute peak.
Yeah, but that was also 6 years ago. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So with I guess I'm just much higher on Bichette than I am Bellinger. And I don't think that you really are.
I
Like,
just
I
I
think
don't
Bichette's
I hate this season from Bo Bichette. I hate it with a burning passion. And I'm never over I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I'm never overwhelmingly negative on guys just to pile on. Like the only
no.
guy that I've ever piled on is Robbie Ray because his
And the
pants
Brewers right
really
now.
piss me off.
And the Brewers right now. Brewers fans hate you right now.
I will absolutely pile on Colin Ray, Aaron Savali, Dallas Keuchel. Who am I missing?
Doesn't matter.
Tobias Myers. No, no, no. Let's do this because Tobias Myers, like that's 80% of their games are being started by one of those four guys. And I get that Tobias Myers has been good. That guy was like a 40-man crunch everywhere. Okay.
Don't worry, Brewers fans.
Back to
I see
Bichette.
the vision. I see the
Yeah.
vision. Jack and
Understood.
I just have to agree to disagree. But I think we don't have to disagree or agree to disagree, whatever the saying is, on Bellinger. I think we're both kind of.
Yeah. Well, and agree to disagree on Bichette because this year is like really, really pissing me off from Bo Bichette because he's playing like he doesn't, like he's mailed it in.
Yeah,
He's been playing like he's mailed it in.
I agree. And maybe a change of scenery could help. We'll see. But we got to move on to question number 7 anyway.
Yeah.
Which rookies will have a crucial impact to their team in the second half to separate themselves and secure a playoff spot? This is asked by Stefan Hammerschmidt on Instagram. What a handle. I got a ton. There's so many here who I think are going to be incredibly impactful. You want to go over your list first or you want to go over mine?
Yeah, I can go over mine because I've got a ton. And I sorted them by guys that are in the big leagues and are
Yeah.
not in the big leagues. So I've
Okay.
got the majority of mine, I think 6 or 7 are in the big leagues. And then I've got 3 guys that are not in the big leagues at this point. In terms of the big leaguers, Wyatt Langford is going to be a huge part of the Rangers playoff push
I wrote
if
him
they
down
get
as
there.
well. No
Yeah.
doubt.
2 guys in Boston, Cedar Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu. They're going to be a huge part of the Red Sox playoff push if they lock up a wild card spot.
Wrote him down as well.
Brooks Lee in Minnesota.
We got the same list.
There you go. Mason Wynn in St. Louis. The Cardinals are in position. Mason Wynn has been one of their best players, full stop.
Why did I even make a list? We're 5 for 5 so
Okay.
far.
One more. Do you have one more guy in the big leagues?
I have 4 more. I have 5 more.
Okay. Wow.
Mine are
Okay.
all big leagues because that's what I thought the question was instead of
Fair.
going back to the minor league. So I just added more big leaguers.
Fair. My last big leaguer that I pointed out is Christian Scott of the New York Mets.
I didn't write him down, but that's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, Scott, like, he's obviously not going to get moved. I don't think the Mets are sellers at this point. I think Pete Alonso is a New York Met after the deadline. I think that he will eventually re-sign with the New York Mets. But I think that Christian Scott, like, if he throws well, that validates their wild card credibility, validates their wild card chances. Again, like that pre-All-Star brain fog, I just can't pluck the right word.
That pre-All-Star brain fog is real because you didn't even mention Jackson Merrill, arguably the best of the bunch.
Yeah, I guess. I thought Merrill, Skeens, and Jones were layups.
Yeah, well, yeah, I wrote down Skeens, but
Okay, there you go. Like
yeah.
I just thought it was like, of course, fucking Paul Skeens. It's like
No, but you do that a lot because you're getting cute here, so you forget like the obvious answers
I
which
do
need to
forget
be
the
said. Like
obvious.
I was like, I think the Braves and the Astros are gonna get hot, and you're like, those are layups. I'm going with the Tigers.
Yeah,
Just
right. No, I went with the Rays, but good shout on the Tiger.
good shout out the
Yeah,
Tigers.
I could see that. So Skeens, I understand writing down Skeens. I understand writing down Merrill.
2 more, both Yankees. I don't think I'm biased here, but I think Ben Rice is so impactful to this Yankees team right
Yeah,
now. Incredibly. Put into
totally.
the leadoff spot. You had to take Volpe out of there because the only guys who were hitting in the Yankees lineup up until Ben Rice entered the lineup
Judge and
was
Soto.
Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. And now you have a guy with an OPS over 900, which is elongating the lineup. Now, it hasn't really resulted in wins for the Yankees as they have taken a massive slide, but it ain't on Ben Rice. First rookie ever to have 3 home runs for the New York Yankees with 7 RBIs. And I think Luis Heel is incredibly impactful too. Super, super impactful. I mean, we talked about his slowing down. But that start on Sunday Night Baseball, that electricity was right back there. And
Yeah,
his numbers overall this season have been fantastic. The only
they're good.
person, we've said it before and we'll say it again, the only person who beats Luis Heel is
Luis Heel.
exactly. So if he is on his shit, he can be that dominant pitcher that he was in the first couple of months in the season. Who else did I have? Again, your Brewers anti-bias. Joey Ortiz is incredibly impactful for
Yeah,
the Brewers.
Ortiz and Chorio, both of
Yeah,
them.
definitely. I think Ortiz is actually more important.
I could see it. Ortiz has just been better so far this year, but I think in terms of like, really like sealing it and delivering it, Chorio, if he levels up and he improves from that 680 OPS that he's got right now, I think that's a big difference maker for the Brewers, even though they're starting bunch of bums 80% of the time.
You're an idiot. Do you know that they were, you know how I was drooling over Spencer Steer last year and he became my guy?
Yeah.
Joey Ortiz is kind of my guy.
Well, it's grit, man. You just like grit.
I love grit. All right.
Yeah.
Who else? I also wrote down Gavin Stone. I think he's incredibly important for the
Hmm.
Dodgers.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the injuries that they've been dealt and, kind of finicky nature of pitching.
Yeah.
Three guys that have not played in Major League Baseball this year that I wrote down. Caminero, layup.
Layup.
If the Rays do feel like Walls and Cabby can't hold it down at short, I wonder how quickly they can work Carson Williams through AAA.
Hmm.
He's been one of, if not the best hitter in AA. He is an excellent, excellent defender. He has swing and miss concerns, which makes me worry that he could get up and be blown up in the major leagues this year. Um, I think he would benefit from spending the back half of the season in AAA and maybe the front half of next season in AAA. But if they felt the pressure and they felt like he could hold his own, I think their future at shortstop is Carson Williams.
Hmm.
One more guy, and I know that the starting catcher here has been so damn good. But if Kyle Teal keeps swinging it like this for a couple weeks in AAA, Kyle Teal could really help the Boston Red Sox.
Can you talk to me a little bit about Kyle Teal? Because that's all I'm hearing is that that was just the greatest pick of last year's draft.
He's just so fucking advanced.
Yeah.
Like he's absolutely ridiculous and mature and everything of that nature. Kyle Teal in Portland this year has an 853 OPS.
It's a
So a
catcher.
slash line of 301, 390, 463. He's
That's a
K'd
lot.
67 times in 285 plate appearances. As I pull out my iPhone calculator, 67 divided by 285. So that's a 23.5% K rate. And you're
Yeah.
slashing 301, 390, 463. He's just more mature than Meyer and Anthony. And I had a great conversation with my good friend Cooper Boardman on the call up, who is one of the announcers for the Worcester Red Sox and does pre and post for the Red Sox on WEEI. And we were kind of talking about that trio, Meyer, Anthony Teal, Meyer, Anthony Teal, Meyer, Anthony Teal. Like they'll probably, for the sake of PR, all debut on the same day. One of them is more big league ready than the other two. Like they're running different races, yet their race has been lined up to maybe result in the same finish line. Teal is the most big league ready of the trio. And I think Teal can be a helpful bat and get Wong off his knees a couple days a week.
Here's a major issue with that. You're isolating a community on social media by
Why?
by elevating Kyle Teal to the starting catching job. Have you seen the Connor Wong truthers out
I'm
there?
not elevating him to the starting catching job. I'm elevating him to the big league lineup. And I'm saying he will have a timeshare with Connor Wong. I'm not taking reps away from Wong.
That was that statement wasn't even for you. Those are for like the four of our listeners who would live and die on Connor Wong. And I
I'm
want to
kind of
know
living and dying on Connor Wong right now.
in the
He's
YouTube comment
generational.
section. I know you Connor Wong truthers are out there. I'm looking directly in the camera. Let us know. What does Kyle Teal do for Connor Wong narratives? Are we pushing Connor Wong back for Kyle Teal? What are we doing here, Connor Wong truthers? Some of the smartest people on the planet, also some of the craziest. All
Yeah.
right. Last question. And this one's for you. It starts for Jack. What is going on with Jordan Walker? Will he be able to be back up this season or will he be down the entire season? This is asked by @Jackson_Job3 on Instagram. Not the real Jackson Job, but shout out this Jackson Job, if that's even
Yeah.
your name, or maybe you're just a Jackson Job truther, where I agree with you. But Jack, the floor is yours. Jordan Walker.
I want you to answer.
Um, admittingly, I have not paid attention to what he's doing in the minor leagues. So I can't really speak, right? I could look at the stats right now and
No. What
give
if
you
I?
a
Yeah, I'll give you the stats right now.
okay.
What if I told you that Jordan Walker in 53 games, where the league average OPS is 771 last time I checked, is OPSing 686.
Shit.
Yep. I
Um,
just want that to sit for a minute.
can I choose not to believe it?
Yeah, you can absolutely choose not to believe it. That's actually kind of how I go about life on a daily basis. The league average OPS is 774 in the International League. Connor Wong, or pardon, not Connor Wong anymore. We're on to Jordan Walker. Jordan Walker is slashing 244, 304, 383 with a 686 OPS.
What
In
is that?
253 games, in 237 plate appearances, Jordan Walker has 4 home runs. And Jordan Walker in AAA at this point, yeah, he's only punching 17% of the time.
Okay, that is important. As long as he's not striking out all the time.
But like he's putting the ball on the ground 45% of the time.
Ugh. I mean, it's not 45% is
It's
not
not
good. It's not
egregious.
terrible.
So Arm and I actually had a good back and forth via text
Yeah,
about Jordan
what are
Walker,
we
I
talking
think
about?
last
This
week.
this question is for you. I get to
Yeah.
sit here and just not have an actual opinion because I don't have an actual opinion because I don't know because he's way too freaking talented. I don't know what's happening.
So Arm and I had a good interaction via text about Jordan Walker last week or the week before. And he sent a video and I essentially said, is it just me or does he look way, way, way too mechanical, like a hyper fixation on the mechanics of his swing? And Aram essentially said, yeah, like he knows exactly what he should be feeling and he's overdoing it with the feels. Like he's trying to move point A to point B in his swing in game instead of just trusting himself.
Yeah.
And the athleticism, like if you watch a Jordan Walker swing in AAA right now, the athleticism from 6'6", 250 is like kind of gone right now. And I don't know what's going on. And it makes me feel like terrible for him because I love when he's going right. I
Oh,
think that
he's
guy can
right.
be
Oh,
an unbelievable power bat when he's right. Problem is, he's not right now, and he's fighting so hard to try and get it back. With where he's at the AAA level right now, I would be shocked if he was back up with the St. Louis Cardinals this year.
hmm.
I think this is a go back to the drawing board this offseason thing and get back to Jordan Walker. And I have a lot of confidence that he can regain that and he can get back to the Jordan Walker that a lot of people fell in love with. Um, but I don't think it's happening in the 2024 season.
I did see a couple of reports that teams have been calling on Jordan Walker.
On Walker,
No,
he's
well,
untouchable.
so let me reword that correctly. In conversations for the Cardinals to potentially buy at the deadline, other teams have brought up Jordan Walker in those deals, and the Cardinals have said basically no.
Yes,
That's what I meant.
I would
Not like,
absolutely
yes,
be saying no.
that's what I meant to say. Not like Jordan Walker is on the trade block. If they were to get a star to trade Jordan Walker, they're saying no.
Yeah,
Because, and it makes total sense for them, obviously, to say no. You can't trade him at this value right now. He's
right.
too damn good. He's too damn talented. He's obviously going through something right now. Maybe it's off the field and on the field. Maybe it's just on the field. Maybe it's, I don't know. But he's clear because he's way too talented. I will not accept these numbers. I have now forgotten the numbers that you told me because that's where I'm at in Jordan Walker. I've forgotten.
Yeah, Jordan Walker is a 75 WRC plus in AAA right now.
Well, I already forgot it.
Okay,
And that's the
wash
end
it
of the
out.
mailbag. Just forgetting shit. Jack and Will and I'm Peter Apple. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode. And if you did, the best way to support, absolute best way to support is to rate and review. 5 stars, whether it be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Another great way to support is just hit that big red subscribe button. You know we're coming out with videos every single weekday. Come on, hit the big red subscribe button. It's free. But also, if you're interested, Just Baseball merch. Rope hats back in stock. Everything else back in stock. Go check it out in the episode description. You need tickets this weekend? Game time. Code Just Baseball. You want to gamble a little bit? I'll be gambling a little bit. Code Just Baseball and BetMGM. Make sure to check out our eBay live event July 14th, correct? 14th and 15th?
14th and 15th, Sunday and
Sunday,
Monday,
Monday?
4 p.m. Eastern.
Make sure to check that out. We'll be telling you guys about it over the next couple of episodes as we get into the All-Star break. And that'll do it. We'll, of course, be back tomorrow for Jack McWillen. I am Peter Apple. We'll see you tomorrow. With that, thank you, everybody.